There's that great line, nature finds a way.
Stay completely still.
Whatever it is, however ugly it might be, or repellent, it's in the process of change. The responsibility of returning to this is to try and show how the infected have evolved.
Go back to the trees.
There's a grand scheme of looks, and these are the designs of Flora Moody, who's an extraordinary makeup artist. Flora's created a world, a visual world, that feels real.
Action!
The first surprise for me when we all sat down at the table was when Danny said, well, they have to be naked. And of course they have to be naked because they're not dressing themselves. They have become wild animals.
The infection is an illness. It's a virus that people catch. They haven't died and come back to life. They're living people who've got sick. So that dictates some stuff. They need to drink, they need to eat. If they've survived 28 years, what would a human who is infected with this disease, what would they look like?
You've got your slow lows, very large on the floor eating worms. And then you've got the infected, who are your mainstream mass. And then you've got the berserkers, who are like these amazing alpha specimens.
This disease causes these erratic, unpredictable movements. My job is to teach the actors how to move and become an infected person.
There is a great continuity between the films because Toby Sedgwick played the priest in the first film who bursts out of the church door and attacks Killian.
28 days later, set a premise for the movement. These infected want the body that it's inhabited to charge forward, to kill.
Usually could rely on zombie movies that they'd all move very slowly. We didn't really want that. And so we got some athletes to play the infected. And I did a workshop with them. I put them all at one side of the room and I said, attack me as fast as you can and as violently as you can, but obviously don't hurt me. And so they did, and it was terrifying. So we got them to run very quick, and people love that idea.
It's honestly quite terrifying sometimes on set. I was quite taken aback because I felt like I'd spent a lot of time outdoors in beautiful locations, and then all of a sudden, like, the action came in. I mean, it's definitely exhilarating, it's thrilling, it's terrifying.
Chai, who plays our main berserker, is 6'8". Everything almost had to be oversized because you want his presence to be grossly intimidating and terrifying. So there are so many layers to him.
The makeup process can take up to 8 hours, which is grueling, starting at 2 o'clock in the morning. But then you have to remember, you're making a movie and you're making it with Danny Boyle and you're doing it in one of the biggest horror franchises there is. This is your dream.
It was a really long process of mud, blood, gore, poo, genitalia, pubic hair. We've all become very, very casual about chatting about prosthetic penises.
Suntan, so it's a sunburn effect.
I am playing one of the infected. I've spent this morning getting all of my makeup done, starting with prosthetics, which is how we get this lovely infection wound going on.
I thought up this visual representation of the rage. So it starts at the heart and it spreads across the chest.
I'm just putting pus on the infected area, just where it's more red and swollen.
Is this what you thought you'd be doing today?
No.
It's not.
That is the one thing for us in the hair and makeup department that ties together all the variants.
We've got 4 characters in there, the slow lows. There's 4 or 5 prosthetic makeup artists working on each one. So there's probably about 20 makeup artists in there, beavering away since 3:30 this morning. This is Kat being made up at the moment. There's 25 pieces glued to her and the makeup artists are doing all the final touches now.
How you feeling?
Good. Can't wait.
Elba's playing the baby slow-low. You can see it's got all the same scars and wounds that we've got on our prosthetic makeup. It's a one-piece suit. This is Jason. He's not actually naked. This is all the coverage from the prosthetics. And the guys are just in the final touches.
Oh God, it's real cold out. But we're all looking really, really good. The prosthetics on this movie have been exceptional.
Send it.
The performers are also incredibly patient. They spend hours upon hours in prosthetics. It is by no means an easy job, and they do it brilliantly to the point that it is pretty terrifying. They're running at breakneck speeds and distorting their bodies in ways. It's a whole other kind of performance and dedication.
I was such a huge admirer of Danny's and a fan of the first movies, and I was so intrigued to see how it is that they're living and coping and managing to survive.
People love world building, as they call it. I don't think anybody wants to live through the apocalypse, but it's quite a nice idea to imagine that you might and how you would go about rebuilding after it.
It's really interesting. It's almost like a period movie, but set in contemporary day, because all of the manufacturing and the clothes just stopped. So you're looking at a different era of things that have been sourced and pulled and recycled.
Danny is an anarchic character that's foundational to his personality. He kind of recognised in us that we have that sense of anarchy as well. When we initially were pitching references and ideas, some of them were quite extreme, but we could see Danny's eyes light up.
And cut, beautiful one.
Danny had worked with Gareth and Carson prior to this, and I met them initially when we were talking about costume ideas and just seeing the kind of detail that they'd gone into. It's been amazing.
The costumes by Carson and Gareth, who are also the production designers, that was a really interesting journey actually, because I was very drawn to trying to find practical wear, and we stumbled on this fireman's jacket in our stunts rehearsal room. And what was good about it was from that period of time. Showed it to Danny and Carson and Gareth. We kind of liked the sort of silhouette of what it did over the top of a boiler suit. It seemed sort of odd and wrong, and then it felt like that's why it could be right.
It was surprising for me because I thought I'd be switching costumes and having loads of different ones, but this is my main costume for the full thing. What I really love is this talisman. I'm thinking of like backstories of how he got this. I think him and Aylan went down to a beach together and she made him this. It's really nice. I love the jacket though. Jacket's amazing.
Truthful.
Action!
For Kelson, when we first see him in the green grass, we just wanted him to look startling and arresting.
Excuse my appearance. I paint myself in iodine. It's an excellent prophylactic.
He's essentially sort of red-orange figure. And we made the decision for me to shave my head against long hair. We thought that was a strong look. But his clothes are manky and sweaty and iodine stained, and he'd probably be pretty stinky.
We have done so many tests on iodine because there are so many factors. If you go too red, he suddenly starts looking like he's covered in blood. If you go too brown, it looks a bit too muddy. So we have tested and retested, and now he is tonally that of iodine.
I think it's that attention to detail that coming into this world, we never realised all of the things that are needed for the whole film. But it's been incredibly fulfilling.
Everything that they're wearing, it means so much to us, it means so much to the actor, it means so much to the story. Maybe audiences won't see the depth of that, but we know and they know. For example, I don't think anyone will ever know how much work has gone into, for example, the jimmies. It's 7 characters, each one of them is made of a patchwork of all these different tracksuits. Each one has gone through maybe like 30 people's hands to get there.
If I were to say what look I like the most, it's the jimmies. They are really, really iconic in the fact that I hadn't seen it before, which makes you excited.
Would you mind if we stepped in?
Gareth and Carson have come up with these awesome tracksuits that have been kind of sewn and patched together, all in kind of bright primary colours. And then Sir Jimmy is in an immaculate tracksuit covered in gold chains and a tiara.
Hold.
And they are nasty.
Hold.
And they're bringing something new to the screen that I think we haven't seen before.
Fucking go.
One of the things that's been such an incredible gift from this process has been to see all these incredible artisans doing their work, all the different departments, to see that come together. It was an absolute pleasure.
Who's that?
Initial conversations were often about, all right, so there'd been a 28 days, there'd been a 28 weeks. It seems a bit stupid to do 28 months after this amount of time has passed from those films. So 28 years felt more appropriate. But then it was to do with imagining, what does 28 years mean? If the infection is still in Britain, what has happened to the country?
I think the biggest thing was imagining how a world would rebuild itself after an apocalypse. And the premise for this kind of film, where you have retreated to a safe space, protected by a causeway, and a causeway that you can defend when it is exposed by the tide, felt like a really great starting point.
Post-apocalyptic stories largely take place in cities, because you see the decay of the houses, the decay of the buildings, and what Danny always wants is some kind of subversion. So this is just green and beautiful, and what you actually have is a community who in many ways are coping very well. There's nothing post-apocalyptic about it. So that's visual subversion.
The film opens on Holy Island. It's a famous island where, Christianity came to England. It's where the Vikings first attacked Britain. So it's a very famous place in British history in the north of England, near Scotland on the east coast.
We wanted, obviously, Holy Island and the mainland to look very different. The island is a place that is touched by the human hand. We wanted lots of smoke. We wanted this idea of kind of agriculture and controlled nature, whereas when you got onto the mainland, it was this superabundance, this hyper-real, almost lurid green colours. So we found that kind of juxtaposition of those two things really important.
These films are set in the north of England, and we've been all over Yorkshire and Northumberland. It's afforded us these landscapes, these incredibly wild and varied landscapes. So it didn't take much to imagine how we could turn it into a land that hasn't been touched for 28 years.
The northeast of England, it's not used a lot for filming. It's Northumbria, it's quite a wild area, which suited our story because the country is naturally rewilding, so it suited our story. But it also gives you a source. It's quite close to Holy Island, and it gives you the accent.
Oh, look, the angel.
Which is what people are listening to as a Geordie accent, a beautiful sing-song accent from the north.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. Joblo remains an independent company, and we appreciate all of your support.